Hello. I got new pillows. You can't see all of them, but look at them. I sewed a little button, so it would be like those, you know, you see those pillows everywhere. That are like those cinch pillows. Yeah, I got these ones and they were round. And where's my one? They just looked really boring round. I see why. They're cinched. Isn't that fun? Isn't that more fun? And I've had these buttons for like 3 years and I've just never used them for anything. Anyway, that's enough of that. So it's quite a comfy pillow to like. That's gonna be my pillow that I hug today. I usually hug this one. I love hard pillow. This one's nice though. Good morning. It's been weird. It's been weird. If anybody else had a weird weekend, you're not the only one. You're really not the only one. Astrologically, it's getting weird. Well, it's always weird, especially the past 2 years. But yeah, I'm trying to learn from my body to try and understand the world, because my body, who bless her, has been so consistent. Well, not really. I've at least always kind of known, look, the past 3 years it's been consistent. And I feel like I've had some degree of predictability or awareness of what's going on. Everything's kind of settled in the past. I think I've talked about this. Everything's kind of been really solid and predictable and, you know, not really flaring or anything like that for the past like 1.5 years, 2 years. 1.5 years, solid year and a half. But now my cycle is shifting and I haven't really done anything to change physically. But I have been doing, I guess, a lot of shifting energetically. And that's the only thing that I can really take from it. Is that physically the life that I know has stayed consistent and the same. And maybe that's what has allowed some energetic shifting. But all I know is it's been weird, my cycle. And then, like, I'm not the only person who I know whose period has come a week early this cycle in February. Which, like, and like, I don't live close to the people. Like, it's not a case of like cycle syncing, which I'm pretty sure one of my doctor friends said isn't really real. It's a beautiful idea, but it's not really real. Anyway, I'm not here to burst people's bubble. If it's real for you, it's real for you. Just don't make it competitive. But yeah, there's a lot of change, and this is what I'm understanding about, like, using my body as a reflection, and then also kind of just connecting the dots to wider world and taking it seriously and taking it like not as a coincidence and being like, okay, this is just what we're in, and I can only manage what I can manage, and I need to actually take stock of if things actually feel wrong to be this way, or if it's just like my ego conscious mind freaking out, you know? Because, for example, if I really, like, I don't know, sink into it, I've kept to my goal, which is like trying to keep my routine consistent. Because coming into Aquarius season, I was kind of feeling that that was my top priority of like getting a good routine in, getting some things that I need to feel grounded and sticking to them and coming back to them and having compassion for myself when I get lost. Because I'm still getting lost, don't get me worried. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like yesterday, was it? Yeah, yesterday I took a day off work because it just felt so wrong to go in. And I was so tired. And there was some stuff that was coming up anyway. But I did a whole like, I mean, I tried not to be on the computer all day. I went out sometimes just to get away from it, but slip back into old habits. Like existing got a little bit overwhelming because of how things feel like nothing but everything at the same time. And that just feels like life, but it feels really present and I feel really aware of it constantly. I feel like I'm constantly aware of like paradox at the moment, and I haven't been comfortable accepting that up until now. So I've been only really able to either ignore it or push it down. So that's the state that I've been like fighting with, especially when I don't want to be in a state of ignoring reality or suppressing it. I want to be present in it because that's how I am happy, but I haven't been able to be there without confronting just what I'm currently able to perceive at the moment as a limitation. And if you listen to the words that I'm saying, it's not intentional. I'm truly just trying to tap into how I'm feeling and what my experience has been. But it all correlates. It all correlates to the big Neptune Saturn dance in Aries. Yay. And there's also, I think the new moon's happening today. I don't know. I've been a little bit tapped out of like transits and stuff for a while now. I'm trying to slowly get back in because I know I tapped out mid last year. After Aries season last year. Oh, oh, oh. I think I tapped out. I tapped out in August when my rabbit died. Then I tapped out. I was just in grief. I was in grief for like the second half of last year. And then I was in happiness, and then I was just in life, and so I tapped out of astrology. But I've been trying to get back into it because it's big. There's big things. But I also can't help but like feel kind of torn because sometimes being aware of what's going on takes me out of my experience and sometimes it benefits it. And I'm still trying to figure out which one's which at the moment. I think it's benefiting me right now because I'm supporting some people that aren't having the easiest time, and so knowing what's going on is helping me support others because it can validate them. Especially in the times where I don't want to use my personal experience as a point of relation. I can use astrology as a point of relation and like confirmation and validation. Because it's taking me a while to process things, I think, emotionally at the moment. At least for the past, since the beginning of the year, it's taken me longer than usual to process my feelings. And I don't know if that's just like a solar Leo moon thing. like having a fixed moon. I don't know if this is what it's like to have a fixed moon all the time, but I'm having to carve out time to address my emotions, I guess, when typically they just feel very there and ready for me to access. So that's a new thing as well, just kind of learning this new body. I feel like I haven't ever felt my solar return chart as strongly as I felt it this year, and that might have something to do with the North Node being back in my first house. But anyway, that's by the by. Astrology, helping it to validate other people, because yeah, there's some stacking going on. Going back to that feeling of like reality feeling hard to pin down, and when you pin it down, it's a pretty heavy thing to behold. It's very motivating seeing the world, because it makes you want to do something about it, whether it's collectively or personally. Because that's the other thing, is that I guess also going back to what I was saying about my body, my cycle is changing, and I feel like that is also emblematic of like energetically, like stuff's going through me, and I feel like I'm changing as well, and I feel like the world around me is changing. It's like cycle shifting is like the way that I've been able to make sense of it, because it's what's happening within my body, and it's what I feel like is happening within the world. It's what I see happening in my relationships. It's what I see happening in myself, in my community. I'm also having greater awareness of some cycles that are coming up. Like it almost feels like being in a video game. That's maybe what it feels like. It almost feels like being in a video game, because you can kind of see what's going on, but you actually have to take it seriously. But it's not very high stakes. It doesn't really feel like a high stakes video game, which is good, because it's not stressful. I'm trying to sink into I still am trying to ground myself quite a bit. I'm trying to take a lot of joy in everyday things, and it's possibly what's also, I'm like really wanting to like get my living room area and like a study set up, and I'm gonna go pick up an armchair today. I'm gonna move this will probably not be the couch. Actually, no, it might be, because I might start filming not in my lounge room. I might start filming in the study area that I'm hopefully going to set up. So this couch will be in there, because I'm getting 2 armchairs to go here and here. I got a rug off Etsy, which I hope the people on Etsy that sell really expensive but really poor quality rugs online find peace. And I hope that like my foolishness can be resolved within me, because I spent too much money on a rug, and I was really excited for it because it was really pretty. And yeah, had a bit of a boomer moment. I should have known. It was like the images were a bit AI. But I always had this like vision. I saw the coloring of the rug and the pattern of the rug, and I was like, oh my god, that's perfect. I didn't think that it could like, I didn't think about the possibility of it going wrong. I just saw all the ways that this thing could be perfect and right. The delusion! The delusion! But again, that's like, I feel like one of the lessons that's going around is that like, as much as we're able to dream at the moment, there's also what is it? Dreaming is really easy. Reality is really hard to find, but you need to find reality before you can actually like make sure the dream is a surefire thing. You know, because dreaming right now without being in touch with reality is a real quick way to get scammed. That's what I'm learning. Real quick way to get scammed. But you know what? Maybe he needed the money. I'm going to return it, so he's going to give me back my money, but I'm also going to lose money on the postage because it's going to cost about $120, $130 to post that shit back to Turkey. Great. But I've learned. Girl, I don't know. But yeah. It's been really hard to reflect on myself internally without having physical points of reference, and that's also not usually the case for me. So I guess I'm sharing all this because I wonder if you're feeling similar things. I wonder if people are going through the same things, because I know when I talk to people in my like waking life, we're all kind of feeling the same. We're all kind of feeling like there's just kind of new ways that we have to navigate levels of awareness in the world at the moment, and there's a lot of temptation to go into the dreaming, but there's a lot of need to continuously pull into reality in order to get reflections that feel grounded and that feel relevant and trustworthy. Yeah, like the only patterns I can really trust to give me anything to go by, guidance wise, are the ones that I can see play out literally in tangible life, like not even just in like play by play with people or just things that I'm remembering in my head, like sometimes even like going back in like mental reflection and being like, is this what that memory looked like? That doesn't feel very trustworthy. It doesn't really feel trustworthy to like be analyzing my relationships for mirrors at the moment. It really just feels like the only thing I can trust is seeing the actual things unfurl in my life and taking metaphor from them and being like, oh, that's what's happening at the moment. That's what's going on. Yeah. And just observe that within myself. Try to inform myself from that. So yeah. Reality. Bit of a weird one. Really feeling Neptune's influence. Really feeling it, girl. Really feeling it. Ooh. Really feeling it. I am really loving the Jupiter energy at the moment though, because it's going towards my home and my home is becoming beautiful. Beautiful. It's becoming beautiful. Yeah, I don't know what's the cause of it, but I'm feeling real tapped into Jupiter at the moment. Oh, Pisces rising. Yeah, I'm really feeling my solar return chart at the moment. I don't know if anybody watching this is into astrology. I should ask my friend. But I wonder if that's also the same for others. I don't know. I've been paying attention to it for the past couple years and like been trying to like work with my chart, especially as a mutable sign, like to try and like feel into that flexibility, that mutability, that adaptability, to kind of try and understand my life as it's going. And maybe this is the first year that it's just clicking, but yeah. This is really interesting. And yeah, I wonder how everybody else is feeling. I know that there's like other parts of the world that are maybe you don't have as much time to think about yourself as you would have to think about your collective and your community, because there is some intense shit going on, to put it so shallowly. Yeah. Hope everyone's doing as well as they can. But yeah, apologies for the energy being so scattered, but I feel like that's just where things are at the moment. Things are feeling kind of scattered, hard to pin down, and it feels like the only way to really go, feels like the only way to be with it is to go with it. And as long as I do that, I don't get really caught up in anything and I don't get too stressed. But I do have to keep track of going into that daydream state and pulling myself back into reality, because that's also been a bit of a thing. Like, I'm not even going through anything like emotionally tumultuous, but like dissociation's been coming back, and it's worrying when it feels really good and there's not, you know, usually that comes from like an escapist kind of need from your heart or your mind. I don't have anything, at least that I'm aware of. I've tried journaling about, like, I have, like, there's stuff that's been coming up that's been like, you know, shadow shit, you know, like things relationally, like not necessarily with, like, I've had some stuff come up with friends, not with them, but within myself because of friends that have like been pointing out some shadow shit that I've been needing to be like, oh, okay, that's there. But that it's not really, I guess to me it hasn't been warranting dissociation. And so I wonder if that's just like the temptation of Neptune being in the air pretty intensely. So I'm trying to, again, like, that's what I mean by like, go with it, but also there's just moments where I'm needing to pull myself back to reality. If there's anything that we have to like try to trust at the moment, it's grounding and being present and having routine and predictability and something to work with and something to work on and something to work towards. It doesn't have to be big. Day-to-day stuff is all you really need with so much like Neptune in the air and constant compassion to also balance out that Saturn. It's what I'm kind of, it's the advice that I've been giving a lot of my friends, is just to focus on what you can do every single day to feel normal and to feel like, to feel your body and to tune into it and what it feels like it's needing, which is probably, if I have to guess, for some people, for most people, a lot of rest. A lot of rest. Ooh, what's that? Tape from my failed rug. Yeah, a lot of rest. And I think I'm gonna try and incorporate some time for daydreaming. I think I'm in the sense that I'm gonna try and find some time to do like some tree gazing or cloud watching, so I can like safely activate that wandering mind element, you know? Yeah. There's a lot of sensitivity that's also being called up. I think the node's about to shift into Aquarius as well, so a lot of Piscean karma is coming to its closure. So like the call for boundaries is also pretty heavy, especially to just kind of maintain yourself. There was an interesting thing that I read from a lady in the community that was saying like there's, you know, a change within our concept of sensitivity at the moment. There's this old way of empathy, which was to feel another person's state and for our being to kind of see that as like a thing that we connect to in order to comfort and not necessarily always heal, but like just to be aware of and then hold awareness of and then connect with in a way of like being and becoming. And slowly that is now changing more and more, I think, within everyone to sorry, I just love when the little birdies like hop around really close to my home. It seems to be like more and more people are gaining that kind of sovereignty of their sensitivity, which is great because it means people that have more sovereignty of their sensitivity are being understood more and not being taken as like cold, heartless people. It's being understood that there is also care and compassion and empathy by being able to feel and like understand what other people are going through, but a certain level of support looking like maintaining your own emotional regulation and like your own emotional strength, I suppose. Because there was this image of it like of empathy being this thing that stretches out and encompasses and takes in and tries to regulate in that way. But there is more of an acknowledgement of regulation truly looking like staying within yourself. And it's similar to an idea of like lead by example. Like if you are regulated, if you stay regulated, and if you allow other people around you to be in whatever state they are, you are the best anchor by staying where you are and just being able to witness and hold them and hope that they can come up to you or around you and gain a little bit of that security and regulation just by having something to like bounce off, I guess, in vibration. And I feel like now that's being understood, there's less judgment being passed on people that don't take on and take in other people's emotional states when it comes to like community and social like gatherings and stuff. That's something that I've struggled with a lot, is being such a sensitive person and being in environments where I don't know, sometimes I can feel like I'm perceived as distancing myself or as not connecting with people or as not trusting them, because I've still been figuring out how to exist around people that are as dysregulated as I am, but I'm trying to keep myself safe from looping into all of it and like making everyone 10 times worse, because we are all one. Like, you know when you're dysregulated and around another dysregulated person, it's like looping into one another without the awareness of like both, like if you're around another dysregulated person and you're both trying to like regulate and you both have a shared goal of like, okay, let's co-regulate, that's one thing. But being in community and shared spaces when there is this point of like, I don't know, fractured disorientation inside multiple people, and that's kind of laying under the subconscious and it's laying under the kind of spoken awareness of everyone currently, because all we want to do is like sit and chat, that subconscious fracture can just kind of link into everyone if you're not aware, and then we can all kind of make each other worse if you're not like, you know, if everything's kind of going on subconsciously or unconsciously, because we're having like different priorities at that moment, and this stuff is just left to the wayside and we're not actually aware of it and actively containing it in that moment, it can kind of just slowly spiral out from like under your lips. And that's something that I think, since I've learning that kind of masculine container has been a journey in and of itself. And there have been points where I've been learning that, and I've been aware of like, okay, I'm not okay at the moment, not 100%. I'm maybe like 70% okay, but there's still a 30% of me that's pretty unruly at the moment, and I'm about to go into a room full of other people that probably have the same 30%, if not more than I do, maybe sometimes less. And I have to, for my own sanity, kind of keep that in check. And it can, learning how to do that when you are someone that also feels like you don't have a choice other than to be aware of how other people are feeling, becomes this like, when you're initially starting to learn to do that, all it feels like you know how to do is just to like hold this like space between you and another person. And like, you can feel that there's like this part of them that's like coming out and wanting to be seen and wanting to be acknowledged. But when you're in that kind of brand new phase, like all you know how to do is just kind of like sit and like be. And it's so hard to learn how to relax and trust yourself. Because there's also the awareness that there's this part also inside of you that feels a resonance, and like wants to also bleed out and like almost dance. But doing that is just not what is gonna help either one of you. So you just have to like at the beginning, you just kind of like clench it in, you kind of hold it, and you're kind of just like, no, I see you and I love you, but that, I don't know how to deal with that. But slowly over the years, I feel like I've been able to like relax and see and not dance. But there has been moments where I've seen, you know, flashes of emotion across people's face, or like flinches in conversation, where I have been trying to build sovereignty and build my masculinity in that way, and that I have perceived a level of rejection in other people, and I don't know how they internalize that. I hope there hasn't been an internalization of judgment, but it's been something I've been afraid of. But now that I feel like it's like becoming more of the norm, I feel like I'm feeling a little bit more safe in that regard. And I feel like maybe that's a little bit of that Aries. I feel like maybe that's a little bit more of that Aries, like Saturn-Neptune, potentially. You know, like having those like steadfast boundaries and that autonomy of self and action. Sometimes Aries can be perceived as like selfish or self-centered, or just like really about their own shit, but like it is for the benefit of others. If like everyone is tapped into that wavelength, you know, it benefits a whole party of people if we're all aware of our own shit, kind of thing. And we're like vying for ourselves. Not vying just, but not also, that doesn't mean just vying only for yourself, but like if you understand that there is a place within us all for us to prioritize our own path and our wants and our desires and our dreams and our everything, like it's okay. You can respect that within yourself, that drive. You can also respect it in others, and there's less friction around taking things personally when somebody else is just going about their shit. Going about their shit. You know, I feel like that's becoming a norm, and I feel relieved by that. Because I've been afraid about how that lesson I've been perceived as I've been learning that lesson. Because I know that I've taken at like the beginning of the path, I know that when I know the judgment of a person not being able to perceive it, because I have been that way. I've been, especially like, I don't know, it's a Virgo, Aries, because there's them 8th house, like a quintux thing that like Aries is Virgo's 8th house naturally. And so I am somebody that has like, I don't know, I feel like I didn't fully understand it until I was about 20, 21, to the depth that I really needed to. And like, in the sense that like, you know, it can take you places that like, there's some serious harm that can be caused by that energy of just somebody doing what they feel like is their path. And there are layers that you can there are layers of like taking it personally, and there are layers that then you also need to then follow that and detach from really seeing it for what it is and not taking it personally. Because the more you take on for yourself, the more you're just creating yourself within a story that actually has nothing to do with you. And you're creating a place there for yourself to be wounded. If that makes sense. Anyway, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm talking about everything and nothing at the same time, but also, again, that's kind of the energy. And I'm sorry that it takes me so long to get into talking, but I feel like that's, again, it's kind of the energy. But yeah, it's an interesting one that's playing out. It's really necessary. So I'm gonna be really relieved, but come the end of this week, when I feel like the initiation into these cycles will kind of have solidified. And so that, because it's all cardinal energy, I feel like that cardinal kind of burst, like the beginning, it's always the most shocking. And then it kind of mellows out. And I'm hoping that kind of the initiation of this, like I've been feeling it, I would say for the last weekend, I was having insane headaches. Like some fire was being trapped in my head. I was having waves of that as like the transits were going last year. And the wave came back again over the weekend, and it feels like it's going to, the wave's going to crash throughout this week, and then come the weekend, hopefully everything's going to be kind of mellowed out a little bit. And then I guess there's also the eclipse happening. Woohoo! In Aquarius of all things. Oh, I haven't really done as much reflecting on the Aquarian energy, because I have been the thing that's felt more present, and the thing that I feel a little bit more entrenched in is the Saturn-Neptune Aries stuff. Because I guess sometimes with Aquarius transits, it feels like a little bit of a lost cause to even go into like what's happening, because like the nature of it is to be unpredictable. And so sometimes I just feel a little bit like, nah, what's the point? I'll just see it when it happens. What's the point? Like, I think I've been feeling a little bit of that. I've been noticing I've been noticing the kind of like outsider or other quality, the parts of me that don't really feel seen by myself or others as valid, and I've been trying to work on them. I think my last video was about that. I have been seeing that, so I've been seeing it more personally, but in terms of like seeing like wider patterns or trying to like sink my teeth into an understanding of everything beyond just myself. I kind of just like, yeah, I kind of just let it let go of the reins. I'm kind of like, you know what? If something comes up and I can see it and I can feel it, awesome. Otherwise, just gonna let it unfold. Because fuck me. Lord knows I don't know. I feel like that's just the best way that I can go about it. I can be aware of myself. I can see the things that are coming up for myself. And that's about it. I can hunker down in the Leo. I can be like, all right, this is where I'm at. I can't quite tell what's gonna like pan out collectively. I can't quite tell what's gonna come in from all of this. I'm just gonna work with I'm gonna work with what I got. And that's all I got on that. Anybody else wants to chime in on like anything to do with the Aquarius? If you feel brave enough to like name something, because that's also the thing that I feel about Aquarius stuff, is that like the minute you name something, it's like almost taking it away, you know? If I've ever tried to like interact with Aquarian energy and be like, this is what I feel like it is, the universe is like, well, now that you expect it, that ain't it. That's the most predictable energy that I've been able to gather from Aquarian Uranus energy in terms of transits. It's like, well, no. So if you feel brave enough, let me know. Actually, well, no, let me know because I want to see your take on it, but I'm probably not going to invest anything in it if I'm just being so honest. Sorry. But yeah, a lot of stuff's happening in my 7th house. I always get really scared about that because I'm like, everything's going really well. Does that mean it's all gonna start going badly? Lord knows. I think I've been burned by that energy before. I think I've been burned by that energy before. The Aquarian energy of things just like going really well and then all of a sudden not. But that's not happening at the moment. So it's nice. I'm in a bit of Taurian energy in my partnerships at the moment, which is nice. But yeah. I wonder where people listen to me. That's also something I'd like to know. If you've gotten this far, if you're still listening, where do you listen to me? Because this is a very windy thing. And it's really just my own thoughts. And how do you feel about it? I'd hope it's some kind of like commiseration point of just being able to like chat to a friend and like to know that there's, you know, to get like a bit of like a temperature on what's going on. I'd love to know where people are at, how they're feeling. I'd love it. But yeah. Thanks for making it all the way. If you did, 44 minutes. Holy shit. Sometimes I wonder how many people actually make it to all the way to the end, because I can imagine the mutable pace of my talking. You know, it's not got constant punchy cardinal things that keep you engaged. It's not a very strong fixed thing that just like builds and builds and builds and is just this like constantly growing, enamoring thing. Sometimes mutability is like takes dedication to stay with the whole time. I like it. I think that's just my Virgo and nature and proclivity to love and like, but yeah. Hope you have an amazing week. I hope you're feeling alright. I hope you're letting things happen the way they need to happen. Being really, 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 really compassionate with yourself and knowing that it's not just you. Like, if you're feeling weird, you're not going crazy. You're not crazy. There's like things happening that's like feeling wild. And I hope you can draw upon reality to let you know what's happening and show you what's happening. Like, draw into your body, see what kind of rhythms you're on, see what's happening, see what kind of things you're doing in your life, and like where you can learn the lessons from like very simple things to then inform you of like, oh, okay. Bye.